presentation that was done by retired General Chiwenga in the much talked about politiburo meeting that saw Emerson Tambutso Mnangagwa and retired General so strongly is out, the full presentation, and I'll be reading it out to you on this live broadcast. Let me begin it soon, but start by greeting you and welcoming you to your lovely channel, the Thonipani Global News. If you're watching us for the very please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first time to watch us. So this is the full Vice President Constantino Chiwenga's Politburo presentation on 17 October 2025. Number one, it says, Comrade, we undertook Operation Restore Legacy with a sacred mandate to reclaim our nation from the jaws of corruption and to restore the dignity, prosperity, and sovereignty of Zimbabwe for its people. Two, Comrade President, in November 2017, we took a bold and necessary step to remove former President Robert Gabriel Mugabe from power because he sought to manipulate our constitution for personal gain. He allowed certain individuals and family to seize his executive authority and abuse it. He ignored the suffering of the people while a corrupt elite looted with impunity. He turned ZANU-PF into a personal fiefdom, disregarding its founding values. Three, during November 2017, we risked everything, our lives, our freedom, our futures, to restore and defend our legacy, the party and the constitution. Today history is repeating itself in the most shameful way, Comrade President. Why we find ourselves in this situation is both shocking and shameful. This was a presentation by Chiwenga. 5. Comrade President, on several occasions and even abroad, you have informed the nation that you are a constitutionalist, yet it is now clear for anyone to see that the so-called 2030 agenda to extend your term of office is real and alive. And this has now taken us back to the ills that led us to November 2017. 6. Moreover, the drivers of this so-called 2030 agenda have now made corruption, looting of our state coffers, and bribery of our structures the cornerstone of their contribution to this campaign. And this is now destroying our party and violating our constitution. 7. We are witnessing in shock as some of our officials in the party and government have now become a law unto themselves and are even announcing to our people at gatherings that we are no longer holding elections in 2028. These are critical announcements on matters that we as a presidium and the central committee have discussed. Did we pass a resolution at the last 2022 Congress? Yes. 8. The reality is clearly emerging. The reality which is clearly emerging is that this 2030 agenda is being funded and driven by non-criminals who have brazenly looted our state coffers with impunity and are now using these resources whose capture and control of our party is unprecedented and deeply worrying. 9. We surely cannot fold our hands and watch these criminals like Undakwa Chitakure, Wignell Chivayo, Scott Sagubanya, and Deli Shunguwaya, amongst others, structures, and in the process destroy our party. 10. Comrade President, these criminals and their associates have been engaged in a brazen and systematic campaign and stealing from our government, and to date they have stolen more than 3.2 billion of government funds, through 10.1, the stealing of our US 1.9 billion from the Ministry of Finance to Gudawashe Takurei for selling a 35% stake in Gubimba Mining House. 10.2, the stealing of state assets like Sandawana Mines and the Zimbabwe Defense Forces Great Dyke investment by Gudawashe Takurei and inclusion of these assets in his fraudulent stealing of our US 1.9 billion. 10.3, the stealing and concealment by Gudawashe Takurei of the party's 45% shareholding in Sakunda Holdings, held by Mvuto Investment Private Limited, and investment vehicles of the party held through our National Reconstruction Group, which was purchased in November 2013. 10.4, the stealing by Wicknell Chivayo of US 45 million of our money from the Zimbabwe Election Commission. 10.5, the stealing by Wicknell Chivayo of state funds, more than 193 million from our government coffers through one bank in our country. And we know that he has stolen some horrific amounts from our government coffers through other banks in our country. 10.6, the stealing of more than 800 million from government coffers by Scott Sagupanya through the so-called gold incentive scheme, which has now been made into a toll gate fraud. 10.7, the stealing of US 162 million of public funds by Delish Nguwaya through his irregular and inflated geopomona contract with the city of Harare. 10.8, the stealing of more than 60 million of government funds by Delish Nguwaya through his irregular and inflated Clean Planet Resources contract with the Ministry of Health, NATFAM. 11, the actions of these criminals, which also include turning your private office, Comrade President, into a place where key government decisions are made, demand that strong action be taken immediately to preserve our party and stability in our country. 12, Comrade President, we discussed the issues around land tenure implementation committee, and we as Presidium and Cabinet appointed the party chairman, Comrade Mchunguri, to lead this process and report back on how best we can approach this. But to our shock and disbelief, Gudawashe Takurei is now running with this and reversing the land reform program, completely going against the resolution we made at the 2022 Congress. 13. Furthermore, Comrade President, these criminals have polluted the concept of affiliates that we set up to support the party. The clear intentions that we had of how these affiliates should complement the party have now been completely by these criminals, and we are now seeing affiliates being more resourced and becoming more powerful and influential than our organs of the party. 14. Comrade President, you recall I brought to your attention the treasonous project which has been penned by Jonathan Moy for our parliament to implement, the so-called Breaking Barriers Initiative, which is seeking to change our political system and suspend elections to 2035. Not only is this project treasonous and a huge scandal, and it's being done and championed by people like Jonathan Moy, whom we fired from the party, this Breaking Barriers Initiative has also been discussed and approved at the party's last Congress, nor has it ever been discussed and approved. In fact, what I was saying, the initiative has also never, actually, sorry, my mistake, has also never been discussed and approved at the party's last Congress, nor has it ever been discussed and approved by the Central Committee, We are now watching in shock and disbelief. And this project is now being covertly implemented and being funded by these criminals, Budakwashi Takure, Wikinel Chivayo, Scott Sakupanya, and Delish Nguwaya and their associates. Comrade President, Tiriguti Banu Ava, Budakwashi Takure, Wikinel Chivayo, Scott Sakupanya, and Delish Nguwaya and their associates. Ngaba Sungwe immediately for these unprecedented crimes they have committed. 16. Tingarambe takatarisa vanhu vachiva more than 3.2 billion in cash from our state coffers while our people are suffering out there. Even Mill is now running out because of maize shortages while we are prioritizing paying these criminals. My hospitals are running out of critical medicines. And now same people who are stealing our assets and resources are now using these resources to hijack power, corrupt our structures, and destroy our party. 17. Comrade President, the time for silence and inaction is over, and we cannot allow these criminals who have stolen from our government coffers and our party to start using the same resources to bribe fellow comrades and our structures to get their support, defend and protect them. 18. These criminals are not just enriching themselves, they are using their stolen wealth to capture our party and manipulate state institutions and compromise key officials. They are creating a parallel power structure funded by the very state they are destroying. This cannot be tolerated for a single day longer. 19. The time for silence and inaction is over. Comrade President, we as party's presidium have serious issues to immediately deal with that will define our future, and we must immediately prioritize cleaning our house, reclaim our state and our party from the capture by Budakwashi Takure, Wicknell Chivayo, Scott Sakupanya, and Delish Nguwaya, and their associates. We need to reaffirm the sacred principles of the revolution, of the revolution and our legacy. The future of our nation and the faith of our people depend on the decisive actions we take now. I submit, Comrade President. So this is the statement that retired General Chiwenga presented during the last Politburo of ZANU-PF, and it has been leaked. It's out there on the public domain for everyone to read what exactly and look at the timing of the leakage. It is happening barely 3 days before the much anticipated 7th. You must try to read what is written. No, but I read properly. Where I was making mistakes, I was telling you. I think it was just few mistakes. Guys, you must compliment. I did perfectly read this script as it is. Where it was wrong, I would see it's wrong. And actually, just remember, I'm reading from the phone. The texts are very, very small. So anyway, let me go forward. But what I have read, that is what is contained on that particular statement. All of it. I think I will find a way I will post it on my also Facebook. I will post the full statement on my Facebook channel. So you search for Undermining Global News, you will find it there. So if you look at this statement and also you look at what has been posted by Blessed Geza yesterday, if you were following what I was reading here to you, it is one and the same thing. The demands are the same, but this time around coming from Blessed Geza. Saying this is coming from the people of Zimbabwe and telling Emmerson Tambutso Mnangagwa that the time is running out. Just picture what is happening behind the corridors of the today Politburo. Do you think there would be any change? I don't think there would be any change. It's intensification of what, and here Chiwenga was very confrontational, very, very straight to the point. He actually looked, I mean, he did not beat around the bush, but he told Emerson Tambutso Mnangagwa straight that we see 2030 and the 2030 is pushed by you. He was reminded about what was the reason for engaging in the 2017 coup that saw Robert Gabriel Mugabe. They call it Operation Restore Legacy. That saw Robert Gabriel Mugabe being removed from power. And he was told that at the center of it was the fight against corruption, was a fight for our people. But what you have been doing, Emerson Tambutso Mnangagwa, is that corruption we have seen entrenchment of corruption. We have seen people around you being allowed to do corruption as they want. And also something interesting. You remember Blessed Geza, back then, he talked about military companies being taken by Gudawashe Takure. In the statement presented by retired General Chiwenga, he reiterated the same sentiments. So Blessed Geza and retired General Chiwenga, it is, I mean, we talked about it long time ago, that they are reading from the same script. But this statement has made it more actually. I think Love Mo Matuke was saying the truth, that we have heard about this information from Blessed Geza. Though I could see, yes, I could see 2017 footsteps. You know, the statement was on point. He's saying 2017 footsteps. What we were fighting for in 2017, unfortunately, President, this is what you are doing at the moment, which necessitates us to act as soon as possible. And retired General Chiwenga told Mnangagwa that the situation requires them to act as soon as possible to avoid the party being hijacked. And the criminal, he calls Gudawashe Takure, he calls Wicknell Chivayo, he calls Nguwaya, he calls all these people around Emerson Tambutso Mnangagwa criminals. He did not even call them by names. He told them straight that these are criminals, and they detail how they have actually defrauded the state. And he says our people are hungry. Our people have, he talked about lack of medicines in the hospitals, whilst we are seized with paying these corrupt individuals through tender systems. So that is why Barakashi was so angry. And that is why Emerson Tambutso, I think he hasn't healed from that day. And that is why it necessitated the hiring of individuals such as Temba Mliso. So going into this ZANU-PF conference, we see Mnangagwa being stubborn, and we see Chiwenga being resolute in terms of we are back to square one, 2017. That is where, Mr. President, you have taken us to. And this requires an urgent action. So, ladies and gentlemen, in my view, I think people should undermine the 17th of October at their own peril. I think I've also seen some Barakashis and I've seen some supporters of Emerson Tambutso Mnangagwa. Who is this popular guy who has been acting like a mate? Oh, Maponga. I've seen Maponga saying the military should come out openly on whether they are the ones who determines the government or not. And these are people who do not speak on their own. Let me just quickly go to what I saw. I thought I was gonna just do it later on when I'm not busy, but I'm prompted to speak about it now. Hearing individuals like Maponga speaking like that, it should tell you something, that they know something that is happening behind the scenes. I'm just going into the account of Maponga because I saw it just, yeah, I think that's the one. Right, he wrote something. I hope it's not, oh, sorry. Who wrote so something? It's becoming, it's very far away. I think I will do a live broadcast specifically to focus on that. But he was speaking about the military to come out openly and indicate that I mean, they are in charge of Zimbabwe and so forth. He had something to speak about what is happening at the moment, opposing it in support of Emerson Tambutso Mnangagwa. That on its own tells you that they are seeing that the organization of the military, which existed in 2017, it hasn't changed that much. What they did in 2017, they can equally do it now. And also the unity of the military as well as the unity of the war veterans that existed in 2017, though a few of them have drifted apart, but it still remains intact. So undermine Blessed Geza as a war veteran at your own peril. Let's watch as 17th becomes so closer. We are TikToking, counting to that particular day. Thank you very much for watching us. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or subscribe button so that next time when we beam live you become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars. Do remember also to support my album entitled Uthando Lwakhe by yours truly, Hloniphani Ncube. You search for the music channel and please subscribe on that